Oh my God. It finally happened. The Simpsons arcade game released to us and available on the Xbox Live Arcade Network and the PlayStation Network for $10. This game brings back tons of childhood memories for me. And being able to play online with 4 people cooperatively at any given time just makes it all that much better. You might be saying to yourself, well gee, they re-released this game. How long's it been? Well, let me tell you. The Simpsons arcade game was developed and published by Konami and released March 4th, 1991. It was re-released February 3rd, 2012. Can you guys do the math there? Oh my God. It is over 20 years old. Oh my God. People have been waiting forever for this game to be re-released. This game is very reminiscent of the similar gameplay of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade, which was available in 1989. 2 years later, procuring this along with X-Men's arcade port, which was released subsequently a couple months ago by, again, Konami. A great port, a great release, and they did it justice, just as they did this one justice. This game is simply put outstanding. Every single thing that was available in the arcade game of this is still available for the Xbox Live Arcade and the PlayStation Network. Even the bonus scenes where you pump up the balloons and slap awake the Simpsons is still in this game. Now, for the credits. The only difference between this game and the X-Men game is that you don't have infinite credits. You start off with something like 30 or 50. I'm not really entirely sure if each person gets credits or adds credits to the game, but it's definitely better to play with 4 people at a time. So you get a lot of credits, but once those credits are used up, it's game over. Much like the arcade, yeah. So as I said before, this game is $10, and I have to tell you, as a kid, I probably spent over $10 in quarters just playing this game and beating it. So that's not a half bad price to play one of the greatest arcade games ever, and one of the most fun. That's the whole point. This game's not great because it incorporates all the things that make it great. The graphics look wonderful. The gameplay is solid. There's no delay in the controls. There's cool, fun combo moves you can do, and it's just a great beat 'em up. But the reason it's great is because it's just so fun. You used to be able to play with 4 separate people in either the arcades at a mall or a movie theater, and now you can do it again. And kids of the generation growing up now are able to do it as well. If they missed out on the arcade days because in the late 2000s and so on, arcades kind of have been phased out. And this game is consistently extremely old, making it very difficult to play nowadays. But now it is available on the Xbox Live Arcade Network and PlayStation Network. And let me tell you, I will attest to this. This game is a solid 10 out of 10. This game is excellent, and the only place this game falls short in is replay value, because once you beat the game and play it over and over again, it's the same stuff over and over again. But does that make it any less fun? Heck no. Gathering together with 4 friends, 4 of your best buds on Xbox Live Arcade, or in real life, gathered together with controllers and a giant screen, you guys can play together, and you don't even have to divide the screens up, because gameplay back then didn't have any division of screens. No one had their own personal screen, so everyone's on the screen at once, which means one big screen for all of you to play together and go through each section of each level at the same time. Each level is diversified with its different things, different enemies that are pretty similar to Simpsons in nature, but there are some enemies that do appear that you have no idea where they really come from, like the balloon clown and maybe some of the zombies. There's minute differences between them and the Simpsons show, but for the most part, it's pretty agreeable. As you can see here, some of the Simpsons can combine together and do a super move where you both team up and attack to do more damage to the enemy. These moves are great when you're facing off with bosses or giant hordes of enemies flying at you, like these men in suits. Some of the end bosses are pretty generic, being a drunk at Moe's Bar, or this guy in the tall trench coat and suit, and the small guy who team up and attack you, displaying that they too can also use the team-up attacks. The bosses are very, very, very challenging, and it is extremely difficult to get through a boss without losing a life, or at least several, to say the least. This game was meant to eat your quarters, and it does an exceedingly great job doing so, even in the arcade realm. Being an Xbox Live Arcade game, you might think they would have toned down the difficulty, but I assure you they have not. This game is still very, very difficult and very, very fun to play. To say the least, it is one of the funnest games I've ever played in my life. Until now, you had to play this on the MAME emulator or through other emulating systems, but now you can continuously play this without starting up your computer, and you're able to just invite people to a party and play with them. So it's no longer just a 1 to 2 player game, person gathered around a computer with a guy who knows what he's doing, but an Xbox or a PlayStation. So, what's up with this game? What's the storyline? Well, if you've never played this game, or if you've never actually watched The Simpsons that much, The Simpsons are not just a 4-person family. They have 5 people in that family. Where's the 5th, you might say? Well, that 5th person is a baby named Maggie. Maggie has been kidnapped because she somehow caught a diamond with her mouth and assumed it was her pacifier. So, keeping with that diamond, Mr. Burns sends his lackey out to kidnap Maggie, and Smithers proceeds to take Maggie. The Simpsons pursue him, and every time they beat a boss in the given area, something crazy happens and Maggie is once again kidnapped by Smithers. Smithers proceeds to get away on a jet, falls way far down huge valleys, creeks, things of that nature, and subsequently you continuously run into these different bosses. From a bear to a drunk, you're going to be facing off with about 10 bosses throughout the game, and defeating each boss gives you a great sense of satisfaction as you play through this game. There are only 2 bonus rounds, and each boss does come with its strengths and weaknesses, but as I said before, this game is meant to eat up your quarters, so don't think the bosses are going to be a walk in the park. It's extremely difficult to dodge the boss moves and their special sets, so after playing it good 2 or 3 times, you might have a good handle on it, but still, the bosses are very, very difficult. There are different difficulties for this game, so if you do find that this game is getting a bit too easy for you, go ahead and set it on expert mode and see if you can't challenge yourself just a bit. Overall, my satisfaction with the Simpsons game is still on par with a 10. Games today may be on 3D scale. There might be games that are so realistic that I barely can tell the difference. But I can't tear myself away from this arcade port. It is 100% the same, except for one small feature. You can kind of see that it looks like I'm playing on an arcade cabinet through what I'm recording here. Well, that's not true. That's just the way the game is. It's kind of at a 3:4 ratio because, once again, 16:9 was not out back in 1991. So 3:4 ratio is the only thing they can do. For whatever reason, Konami felt the need not to stretch it out to 16:9, which would have ended up making it not look so great. That's my only complaint about this, is it's not entirely huge and does not take up my screen entirely. But that's a small price to pay for one of the best games I've ever played in my life, and one of the most entertaining and fun games, to say the least. The Simpsons arcade game is, simply put, an X. A 10 out of 10. This is one of the first games that pioneered beat-em-ups and perfected it to such a level that many games tried to emulate its style, like Castle Crashers, for example. And Castle Crashers succeed in that because they looked at this, took the formula that this had, and applied it to their own game. Great game, wonderful pickup, wonderful buy. Remember, only $10 in the Xbox Live Arcade Studio and PSN.